So this is part 3 in my series, video response to the Sovereign Citizen Training for Law Enforcement video. Want to try to wrap this up. It'd be nice if I could finish it in this one last video, but it might take me another 2 or 3 maximum, I hope. There's a lot to cover here. The point of this video response series is to point out what this video by the Florida sheriffs is teaching, apparently, to sheriffs, and then what they're telling the YouTube viewers that is loaded with a lot of assumption and misinterpretations and bias and prejudice. Now, I'm not a sovereign citizen, but I used to associate with people who were into this stuff. So I just wanted to point out some of the things that are being discussed and what is reasonable about them and what I think people should be considering. So we'll continue with the video.
I am protected by the land. Tell me to shut up. I am the living natural man, and my voice will be heard.
They will ask you, what is the reason for stopping me?
Transport. I'm asking you, what am I being pulled over for? What am I being stopped for? Am I being detained?
I am traveling, I am not driving, I do not have to provide a driver's license because I am a sovereign.
All right, Stacey, do you have a license on you?
I do not submit to unlawful inquiry, sir.
Okay, so you don't have a driver's license?
I have a right to travel unencumbered freely.
You do not have jurisdiction over me. Are you a peace officer or a police officer? There's a difference in the sovereign rhetoric. I also need...
Okay, so there's a difference in the sovereign rhetoric. Just by using those words, what he's doing is he's creating an instant bias about the nature of what these people are doing. Now, what a lot of these people are doing with the quote traveling stuff is a little bit of lunacy. If you study the law long and hard enough, as I have spent a good over 10 years entrenched in this stuff, including some college law classes as well. What is wrong with asking these questions? I mean, do we have the right to move about? Or let's put it this way. Why would there be this focus in the video about the words being used unless it was relevant? The quote sovereign people want to use these words such as travel as compared to operating a motor vehicle, say. Well, anyone knows if you've been in traffic court and you've been in there enough that these words are meaningful. They do mean two different things. So what I'm trying to understand is why would they be teaching both the sheriffs and the YouTube viewers that this is rhetoric? Why are these questions not valid ones? And why aren't they simply answered? Okay, so we know that the driver's license, just look in Black's Law Dictionary, licensing is a form of government permission. So why do we need permission from the government in order to move ourselves about through these mechanical means of locomotion, that the law calls vehicles and automobiles? I mean, they will never use other terms. Why won't they use other terms? Isn't the fact that they insist on using these specific words, doesn't that mean something? Now, I've been in court before where I watched a kid that I didn't know who actually had an attorney, which is rare for these kinds of challenges. The attorney was saying, well, we have seen no evidence that my client was involved in operating a motor vehicle. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. This was in front of a packed courtroom, too. So what the judge did, as they so often do, is, okay, yeah, we're going to adjourn this. You know, and that's just the typical, it uses up extra tax dollars to adjourn it and carry it over. What should have happened, I think according to the way most people would see this, instead of wasting tax dollars, is to answer the question. You know, where is the evidence on the side of the government, the prosecutor, that proves he was, quote, operating a motor vehicle? Now, people always just answer an officer or a court when they're asked, were you operating a motor vehicle? Well, yeah, I was, because these are what they consider to be, the person standing in the courtroom, to be common vernacular. They don't understand that operating a motor vehicle has specific legal nexus, very specific. This isn't conspiracy theory. This isn't conjecture. Simply get yourself a Black's Law Dictionary and look at what the meanings of these words are. Look at the meaning of the word license, the government permission. I could go off on a tangent and talk about the Second Amendment with guns, getting a handgun permit. What is a permit? It is short for permission. The word even sounds similar. Permission, permit. It's government saying, we are permitting you to do this. No, you don't have a Second Amendment right to go out and get a handgun, but we will give you permission to if we deem you worthy. These are the kind of things I'm talking about that these sovereign folks are involved in. What is so wrong with asking these questions, and why won't the government ever answer them? You will rarely get a cop, a prosecutor, or a judge who will touch these things. Ask yourself why. And what I'm asking is, why doesn't everyone ask why? So let's continue.
If you're a constitutional common law peace officer, or are you a police officer? Because there is a difference.
Some sovereigns will ask you to fill out a paperwork explaining your jurisdiction over them. Some will be argumentative, but the argument that you will get most is that you have, as a law enforcement officer, you have no jurisdiction over them. And they will constantly repeat that. Their objective is to confuse you. You don't know their level of commitment. If they are providing this information in order to confuse you or in order to distract you to the point where they can take advantage of you and assault you or kill you.
Now, I have watched this video before, and I don't even remember that part, and I am absolutely appalled that they would suggest such a thing. It is 100% patently untrue. All of the people that I associated with have zero interest in not only confusing a police officer, they have zero interest in hurting anyone. This is really disgusting. Absolutely disgusting representation of what these people are about. Are there some that might act like this in the sovereign movement? Yes. There is a certain percentage that are lunatics. They're not what most of them are about. Most of them are just good people who've been abused by the government at some point and fought back, as is every American's duty to keep your government under control. Government is not supposed to be the big brother and dictating a dictatorship. We are supposed to be ever vigilant, and which we have not been at all. So all these people are doing, for the most part, now I'm speaking from a lot of experience associating with these people. They're asking questions because they believe, this quote sovereign, believes that he does have a right to freedom. These are all freedom-oriented subjects. Freedom to move about in their cars without having the government's permission through a license, or being pulled over for gliding through a stop sign or going a little bit too fast according to what their rules are. Their rule, keyword rule, is, as many sovereigns would say. Keep in mind, John Stossel did a whole report on other countries that don't have hardly any traffic law and have lower accident rates. So this, safety garbage about traffic law is a bunch of BS. Does that mean I'm against drunk driving tickets or something? Of course not. I'm 100% pro tickets for that. I'm 100% pro traffic law. But when no one is hurt or damaged or injured in any way, and the government comes in, they have not only issued you a license to give you permission to drive, but then they're going to come into your lives to extort more money from you by breaking their rule, and the money goes to them each time. The cop pulls you over, cop works for government, prosecutor prosecutes you, prosecutor works for government, a judge adjudicates the matter, the judge works for government. Do you see bias and conflict of interest when 3 of the 4 parties, you being the 4th party in this matter, are kind of biased? All work for the government, and the fine that they're going to get from you just happens to also go to that same government? Come on, people. More coming. Thanks for watching.